Hi guys, Scotty here with another DBZ Dokkan Battle video, and today I'm going to be taking you through the top 10 best LRs in the game currently. So with the anniversary coming to an end, it's a bit of a safe time to do a list like this. It's nothing super new on the horizon that we know about. You never know what's around the corner though, so thought I'd just get this out now, show you guys what the top 10 LRs are, and let's jump right into it. So this is subjective, this is what I think the top 10 units are. Anyway, let's jump into it and we'll go from number 1 unit, and that would be our LR Super Vegito. Where is he? Down here somewhere. Go. Tech Goku going into Tech Super Vegito. This guy is just the best unit in the game. 100%. His active skill is basically a win button that guarantees victory in almost every situation. He's got immense damage output. He's one of the highest damage units in the game, and especially post-transformation. And he is just basically invincible in slot 2 or 3. He's got a ridiculous 90% damage reduction in slot 2 or 3, so he basically is invincible there. It's even more so than, say, like AGL Vegeta in slot 2 or 3, who can every now and then sell a run on very high damage bosses, but really 90% DR is going to have you checked and sorted for a very long time. This is definitely the best unit in the game, and he is fantastic. Moving on to number 2, we've got LR Super Gogeta starting out as AGL Vegeta. So he's got very strong synergy with the top unit of the game, with Vegito. They work so well alongside each other because once they both transform and you can get that active skill popped off, that active skill just makes Vegeta even more deadly, like crazy big difference, and buffs your third slot as well. So definitely want to be running him alongside number 1. He's like the support to number 1, which is fantastic for that. And his dodge mechanics are also great. They'll age maybe a little bit better than the damage reduction, making him viable long term. I'm talking about when you switch to Goku, but there has been a lot of dodge cancelling as well in top tier fights. So that is always a little bit of a worry. But not just his dodging, he does also have a full turn skip. So I mean, if you swap over to Goku and use his active skill, you get the Veku transformation, and he just skips an entire turn. The enemy can't attack for a whole turn. So that is insane utility as well from our number 2 there. Moving on to number 3, and that is going to be the Super Saiyan 4s here, transforming into Gogeta. So the Super Saiyan 4s, they come in with 77% damage reduction on first turns and guard, so they're pretty much untouchable. You do maybe have to babysit them a tiny bit on their next turn when they come in, not always, but just you've got to be a little bit careful of that, because they won't have that 70% damage reduction, but by then they should have built up a ton of stacks, because they are a stacking unit, be it like a million defense with guard, they're going to be absolutely fine. And then when you transform into Gogeta, he's crazy. He's got his guard, he's got his damage reduction on first turn, he stack defense from his base form, and he's got significant damage reduction, and he's fantastic. He's one of the main things though about him is his scouter ability. So knowing where super attacks are going to make him an incredibly valuable unit for the team, as well as his ability to just counter supers. So he's got a very high chance to just nullify and counter supers, and that is, he just pretty much constantly does it. Every time I know there's a super coming, throw him in there, and he just nullifies it, does a 20 million counter, and moves on. So yeah, definitely a solid number 3. Moving on to number 4 are the LR Gods. So they are just below Super Saiyan 4s. They have crazy damage output, they super multiple times, and they're also stackers, so they rapidly raise their attack and defense before transforming. They are a little bit weaker than Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, just because they don't give you a scouter firstly, they don't have damage reduction after their first turn once transformed, and they're very reliant on dodge, which is fine unless there's dodge cancelling. So you can pretty much get them to guarantee dodge in a turn with enough orbs, but the dodge, if dodge cancelling is there, then that's a moot point, and they'll be relying on guard, and hopefully you built up enough stacks defensively, which is very doable. You definitely can build up enough defensive stacks to let them survive most things. There can be a 2-3 million defense with guard, they're going to be fine, and then a chance to dodge if there's no dodge cancelling. Moving on to our number 5, and that is our LR Tech Vegeta, Great Ape Vegeta. Not a ton to say about this unit. He is just a fantastic slot 1 tank. You slap him in slot 1, 60% damage reduction with guard, and he also gets a defensive boost on taking his first hit, as well as he's got a great ape ability he can transform into as well when the conditions are met. But you're just going to be putting him in slot 1 and forgetting about him because he's just not going to be taking damage pretty much. He is a fantastic slot 1 and we can always use more of those. Moving on to number 6 and talking about slot 1s, we can look at Beast Gohan next. So the reigning slot 1 king, he doesn't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon. He's still a top 10 unit, almost top 5 for me for his, and I mean, he's what, over a year old now? Maybe we'll be seeing him in 11th anniversary. But he is still one of the best tanks. His intro buff makes him practically unkillable. His active skill, which is a taunt, is fantastic for locking down fights and helping out your team. And then he does take some damage post-intro, unfortunately. As his buffs wear off later on, you can start to notice that he'll struggle a bit and he can die. So we never thought we'd see this day, Beast Gohan taking damage, but he has been. And that's just, he's starting to age, that's all. But he is still, I mean, he's still sitting here, number 6 in the game. He's a fantastic slot 1. For number 7, we've got Super Saiyan 3 Goku here. Now, this is one of my personal favorite units, but I do think he is number 7. Still top 10 though. He's got high consistent damage in his base form. He can struggle a little bit defensively if dodge is being disabled, because then he's just purely relying on guard, which can be a bit scary. Once he's supered at least once, he'll generally hopefully get 2 so he can raise his defensive stats, but he needs to super first, and then the guard coupled with his defense can usually get him, which is fine if he's not dodging. Generally he's going to dodge though, unless there's dodge cancelling there. He's also just an incredible team support with his damage reduction support as well as defense support, and you get a great ape free turn pretty much, where you can just do a bunch of damage and then come back and transform into Super Saiyan 4, who becomes pretty much untouchable in the right team. He just is, it's a fantastic unit, very high damage, constantly stacks, and yeah, brilliant unit. So that's our number 7. At number 8, if I can spot him here, we have LR Tech Broly. So Broly again is another slot 1. A lot of slot 1 characters in here because defensive survivability is what we're looking for a lot of the time. So he's one of the best designed characters, I think, personally. That first turn where he comes in and you can give him a 90% damage reduction as a slot 1 is just fantastic. And then if you slap him into slot 2, he's still got, I think it's 70% damage reduction, but he's also then providing crits buffs to his team, which is just awesome. So that first turn, he sticks around, and then you transform him, and he's basically invincible while he's got his intro up. He's got guard, he's got high damage reduction, he's tanking everything in the beginning, he's doing big damage, and then his active skill comes and he does even more damage. Fantastic in a Broly team, but he can be run on a bunch of other teams just as a solid slot 1 option. He does fall, not that he falls off, but just once his buffs wear off, and later on he can struggle a little bit. But generally he's going to be absolutely fine for most fights, unless it's a super long fight or something like that. Moving on to number 9, we have a personal favorite of mine, and why the unit that I actually coined with my Piranga coin is Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. So he's an absolutely fantastic unit, very high damage, consistent, and he's a Rainbow Key Sphere changer, so that's really good for your team, good team synergy, getting more orbs. As well, he's got just a ton of tools to mitigate damage. He's got DR, he's got a high chance of massively increasing his defense on super, so when he's taking a super, he can massively increase, it's like 770% that he increases his defense by, as well as he's got additional damage reduction of 44%, and he counters when receiving a Ki Blast super. So he's just a defensive powerhouse as well as offensive, and he fits on a lot of awesome teams. He's a great unit, so that's why he is in the top 10 for me. And lastly, a criminally underrated unit that I'm really happy to put in the top 10 because it's just fantastic. He's not flashy, he's not like got gimmicky things like mechanics in that, but he's just very consistent. It's Super Saiyan 2 Physical Gohan. He's just consistently strong, no glaring weaknesses. He's constantly putting out damage, able to tank things after super egg and that. He's very balanced. He's got good offense, good defense, and utility. Solid, not a game-breaking unit, but just a very solid, good unit. And I always have fun with him when I'm running on a team. So he doesn't really have a flashy moment or a gimmick or anything, but I mean, his active skill is pretty fun to watch, and he's just a very good all-round unit and fits on a lot of teams. And I love putting him there and seeing him do all his damage. So there we have it. Those are the current top 10 LRs in the game. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree. I'm sure this is going to be quite subjective to a lot of people. I think this list is pretty safe. I've gone with, I mean, these are the units that I see in so many people showing their teams and playing the game. These are the units they're running, so I think it's pretty good. But yeah, let me know if you disagree in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope you managed to pull a bunch of these units, and Anniversary was very good to you. It's nice to fill out your roster and have these units and just go ham on the hard events. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully see you in the next one.